Are there persons among those Armenians who serve to Israeli army?
Certainly there are. In Israel, Armenians are in the thousands. A very small, tiny minority has come.
I would like to talk about the 190 Armenians who came from Israel. What is the intention of Diasporas Commissioner if your goal to keep Israeli-Armenians here in Armenia? And are you providing temporary residence to the Israeli-Armenians who came here, or do you have plans to integrate them in here?
So the situation with those Israeli Armenians that came here on the flight that was freely provided by the Armenian government is somewhat different than perhaps what you have in mind. They came here seeking asylum for a short period of time while things are very unstable and very dangerous in Israel. None of them came here with any anticipation or expectation of housing or that kind of help. So it's not like the situation of the Ukrainian Armenians, situation of some of our brothers and sisters from Lebanon, and certainly not the situation with Syrian Armenians. Of course, we know everyone that came. Of course, we were part of the process in generating the list of folks that wanted to come. We are part of the active work group that exists within the government to deal with Israeli-Armenians, because this crisis has not stopped and we still have a list of those that want to move to come to Armenia. But those that came aren't here to repatriate, with some exceptions. For example, in the last week and a half, we've had 4 Israeli-Armenian families that were part of that flight who came to the integration center and said, we're considering staying in Armenia. We don't want to go back to Israel. Can you help us? So our integration repatriation center, which was at the airport to greet everyone when they got off the plane, is helping those families that are thinking of remaining in Armenia in the long term.
How many Armenians remain in Israel and the Gaza Strip particularly? Do you have numbers?
I don't have numbers, certainly not about Gaza Strip. I'm not sure there were that many to start out with. Gaza is a very specific place, and it's not a very good place to live, unfortunately, because of its isolation and the poverty and such. In Israel, of course, Armenians are in the thousands. And when we say how many remain there, thousands remain. I mean, a very small, tiny minority has come to Armenia. It's a very small number compared to the rest of the community. So we can certainly say that most Armenians, more than 90%, are still there. Some have, by the way, used their own means to move on to other places. So there's still a functioning flight from Tel Aviv to Larnaca in Cyprus. So many have taken that way out and they've moved on to Europe. But again, most of the Armenians are still there.
Are you in contact with them?
We're in contact with them. We're in contact with our religious leaders there. We're in contact with our community members there. We're constantly gauging their mood, and we're constantly also looking for solutions. Now we have, again, another list of people that want to come to Armenia, but we're trying to understand people want to come because it's a free ticket and they want to come, or is it they want to come because it's really an intolerable situation whereby they have to get out? So we're trying to gauge that, but we have our finger on the pulse. We want to make sure we're there for their time of need. And I assure you, we have another meeting, for example, on Monday, of the Israel work group to figure out how things are progressing.
Do you have information? Are there persons among those Armenians who serve to Israeli army?
I can tell you with certainty that there are, unavoidably, of course. Not only are there active military who are just drafted as part of Israel's normal draft, but reservists have been called up. So, but of course, there are Armenians in the military.
And how do you see the future of Armenia? All right.
Look, I live here. I've chosen to live in my homeland. I've chosen to work for my country, pay my taxes here. I've made a conscious choice, and I continue doing that because I believe in a very good future for Armenia. We're at a very sort of dangerous and critical point in our history. We're paying for big mistakes that we've made in the last 30 years, big mistakes. But we've been on this planet for a long time, thousands of years. And our people have shown not only a remarkable level of resilience, but also of wisdom. People are in Armenia are acting with very clear mind, which is sometimes surprising because we all believe that we're not very clear-minded people, we're not very rational, but we are. I think the horror that are some countries, namely 3 countries, which I will not name, but you can guess, had planned for us in 2020 and after, has not realized. It's a lesser version of that horror because they had other things in mind. They thought there would be chaos in Armenia. They thought that the 3 of them, would now be in Sunik. They would be splitting Sunik up between themselves, and that all of that hasn't happened because the people in Armenia have kept a very cool head, very level head, and they've made rational decisions that are conducive to Armenia's stability. Now, we all, and the government, of course, in the first place, owes it to the people of Armenia to do its best to make sure we come out of this situation with the least amount of losses, because we've already suffered a huge loss with Artsakh and Artsakhi's. And make sure that tomorrow's day is much safer, a much more prosperous one. And it's my dream that one day, most of the diaspora is going to want to live in their homeland, because if they don't, someone else will. And I keep repeating this. And they don't want to hear it. They because it's too painful to hear. A land that is not populated will be populated by someone else. If we had 500,000 people in Artsakh, we had 26 years to make it happen. We did nothing. This government, not this government, the government of Armenia, the governments that came one after the other failed to create such conditions for Armenia's population to grow. Armenia's population declined, Artsakh's population declined. We have what we have. So we need to create that Armenia, which is a dream for all of us. And it's doable. It's doable. And our people, some of our people, a portion of our people in the diaspora has to make the conscious choice of living in their homeland. Because thinking that, well, when Armenia is a heaven, heaven on earth, then we'll move to Armenia. Well, who's going to turn into heaven on earth? We have to, all of us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.